We're moving closer to getting into some applications with these different functions, but we have one last step before we get there. We also want to talk about profit functions, where capital P of x, so we need to keep that distinction in mind between capital P, which relates to profit, and lowercase p, which relates to price or those price demand functions. Capital P of x is going to represent total profit from producing and selling X units. We can calculate profit as our revenue, so the amount of money that we bring in minus our costs, so the amount of money that we had to spend to produce and sell those items. Or if we want to turn that into a formula, that would be P of x is equal to R of x, so our total profit is equal to total revenue minus C of x, our total costs. So to generate a profit function, we can just take the difference of our revenue and our cost functions, and we have that result. In example 8, we have a situation where we're given both a revenue and a cost function, and we're asked to find that profit function. So we can calculate P of x as our revenue function, minus our cost function. And one just subtlety to keep in mind here is we want to subtract that entire cost function. So I'm going to write this in a set of parentheses. And then in the next step, go ahead and distribute that negative sign throughout the cost function. So this will become minus 26x and minus 38,480. In general, setting up profit minus revenue isn't a difficult step, but just a common place where people make a mistake here is not distributing that negative sign completely throughout our cost function. Then we can look at combining any like terms, which will give us negative 0.1x squared plus 174x, which comes from taking the 200x minus 26x minus 38,480. And that's our profit function for this example. In example 9, we want to refer back to examples 2 and 5, and we want to generate the profit function based off that information. In example 2, we came up with a price demand function. And in example 5, we generated a cost function. And now what we're asked to do in this example is generate that profit function, P of x, which would again be R of x minus C of x. What's missing for us is that revenue function. So our first step will be taking our price demand function and using that to generate a revenue function. And that process will work exactly as we've seen before. We'll take our price demand function and just multiply through by x. Our cost function is already given to us, or we already found that in the previous example. So we'll take our revenue function and again, subtract that entire cost function. So what we'll do in an intermediate step is distribute that negative sign through. Oh, I'm sorry, that should be plus 32,004. So we'll distribute that negative sign through, so this would become minus 1.38x and minus 3,204.5. Combining like terms then, would give us plus 3.67x minus 3,204.5 and gives us our final profit function.